Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 535, Meeple Nation, July 2024 news.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table,
where we're basically talking about SaltCon.
News and SaltCon highlights, yes.
One of my favorite episodes.
Yes, we always look forward to these. SaltCon was a month ago, but at this point, it still is fresh in our minds and is always a great experience.
The happiness endures.
Indeed.
The Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. Game Toppers has everything you need to make your game room and game experiences epic and amazing.
We might have more of them coming up in the Kickstarter section too, because
sweet
Kickstarter 4.5 Galactic release coming up on the 23rd of July.
Can't wait.
It's going to be some cool stuff in there.
Berkey's always got cool stuff coming down the pipe.
Yeah, and some new things that are different from just the mats and the tables.
Love it.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Douglas Stewart. And Andy has been demoted to guest host status again.
Yes. Daughter needed him more at home than here with us. So
yes, she did.
So we will let them enjoy each other's company, I guess, in this time of need.
Sure.
And we'll be as vague about that as possible and just leave it with that.
It's not that big of a deal.
But, no.
But his priorities were elsewhere.
As they should be, actually.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Recently, we got a box of Wonders from Arcane Wonders.
Yes.
Some great games that they sent us, and I wanted to talk about some of these. We got a copy of Super Kawaii Pets. Or
as they like to say in Japan, Subarashi Kawaii Petto Osobimashita. There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm not sure exactly how super translates. Subarashi is like wonderful.
Okay.
But yeah, super, probably.
Probably.
Anyway.
I also got a copy of a little bit of an older game called Viral. We have Aquatica. And some of those other games that we've played, World of Wonders and Foundations of Rome. So, I mean, they didn't send us Foundations of Rome, but Doug, both you and I own the wonderful product that Foundations of Rome
The amazingly overproduced version of Foundations of Rome.
But definitely amazing.
Never give up. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then also a little gem that I actually really liked quite a bit, and that was Age of Wonders Planetfall was another one they sent to us.
Oh, I omitted that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Age of Wonders Planetfall was actually, of the games that they sent us, probably my highlight.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
Yeah. So let's start with the first simple one, Super Kawaii Pet.
Super Kawaii Petto dayo.
Yes, this was a very, what did Andy call it? He called it a cute game.
He called it a cute game.
Yes.
He said, oh, that's a cute game.
Yes. And he was right. And it wasn't bad at all. This is a game that I played with. Did you play this one?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. You and Andy both played this with me the other day. I got to play this with Andy's daughter, Sierra. I got to play this with my wife. I got to play this with Jenna. And so I played this several times now and with several different people in different player accounts. And this is a very simple game. You're trying to get your cards on the happy side, animals that you're going to pick up. And these animals are unhappy. They're sad. They're hungry. They're neglected.
Needy. They have needs.
They have needs, variety of different needs. And then you have a deck of cards that provides those needs.
Needs.
Yeah, so you have love.
It's basically love, food, and vets.
Yep, medical care. Yeah.
Yep.
Collect your sad animals. Give them what they need, and then you're able to flip them over to the happy side, and then that on the happy side account as one of your 10 horizontal cards. Then you also have the option of meeting certain requirements on houses or shelters or chairs.
Right. Like
or
if you've got 3
Amazon
happy
boxes.
cats, you get to collect the little cat play pen thing or whatever. If you've got 2 dogs, you get to collect the dog house or,
Yep.
something like that. This game, definitely filler category in my mind.
Absolutely.
Like 100%. But it has, like, there's just enough to it that it's filler with some crunch, I guess. It's not deep or heavy crunch at all.
No.
But just a little bit there, because you do kind of want to go for those. I mean, you're getting a lot of points by getting those houses or shelters or whatever they are. That's a significant portion of the game, but it's also a bit of a race, right? You're
Absolutely
kind of
it
racing
is,
the
yeah.
opponents at the table to try to meet those requirements, pick some of those up first, get some of the animals that have like little bonuses on them, get the good cards to draft out of the center. Now, I will say the only downside to this game was that you have that deck of cards that are the needs, and every now and then it was like the needs that were out in the row.
No one needed?
No one needed them. And you do have the option of blind drawing off the top, but you can definitely go like a round or two where you're a little stymied in trying to get what your animals need. However, it's really, really easy to pivot, because if you have a bunch of needs that don't match your animals, then you just start drafting animals that have those needs. You're not stuck. You just have to kind of pivot back and forth a little bit between those 2 decks. I thought it was a fun little filler game.
Yeah.
A
But you have to be-
kawaii little filler
Kawaii.
game.
You have to be careful about adding pets to your hand, because each pet that you don't meet its needs
Correct.
counts as negative points against you.
Yep.
And this is a game that Doug, you and Andy and I played, and I thought I was totally running away with the game. I was getting all the cool enclosures or shelters or whatever. Andy was getting a little bit discouraged. And then when we tallied the score, it was a 4-point spread.
We had each kind of used a little bit of a different scoring strategy. Mine, I didn't have as many cards, but they were all higher scoring cards.
Right.
So, yeah, it was all good.
Yeah. And so I would recommend Super Kawaii Pets.
Yeah, for sure.
Viral. Funny, I played this game and I played it with my wife. It wasn't until the 3 of us were playing together that you made the comment that it was an area control game. For some reason, the first 2 times I played it, totally oblivious that it was an area control. I was
Yeah.
too focused on the theme,
Yeah.
and it very much is an area control,
Yeah, it's an area control game.
which is not your style, not really any of our styles. But
No,
this
not
one,
particularly.
I thought it was mild enough. Apparently, it was mild enough that I didn't even clue in. My wife works in the medical field, so the game premise of the game, I guess I should indicate, is that your viruses that you're trying to infect a patient, and the patient's key organs. You have the brain, the heart, lungs, all the way down to the large intestine, small intestines. I guess they should go in the other order: small intestine, large intestine, and you're just trying to cause this patient stress and get your viruses enough attention that the doctor requires them to treat you, to treat your virus, and then you get points for your virus getting removed when there's a stat issue. Otherwise, you're trying to just maintain control over certain areas as the game progresses. And you first person get 21 points, tiles flip over, so areas that you have control over going to give you more points. There was a lot of want that all 3 of us wanted, but there is a Hive expansion.
Yeah.
Viral the Hive, which
Now-
I think gives us what we were really looking for.
I think so too. Now, you said points, but just so people understand, it's 6 rounds. There's a deck of cards there that you count down the rounds. So you're going to play 6 rounds. So it's not a point based end of game thing. It's going to go 6 rounds no matter what the points are. I think the thing that I struggled with the most with this is I did feel like it was a rich get richer game. I felt like if you shot ahead quick, as you go down the point track, that's what allows you to draft the better cards. And then the sooner you get to draft those better cards, the more you get to use them through the course of the game.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a feedback loop there. Allows somebody who gets out early to really run away if they can use those cards wisely. Now, the game does have like the inoculation track. Better you're doing, the more likely it is that you are moving up that track. And once you max out on that track, all your stuff just gets wiped from the board.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a balancing mechanism built in.
And the tiebreaker too.
Remind me what the tiebreaker was.
So the tiebreaker is it goes in player order, but it's reverse player order. So
that's
that
right.
If you're losing, you're more likely to break the tie, except for in the end game. In the end game, I
think it's an interesting game. I'm not particularly in love with that theme. That didn't really jump out at me. But I do think it's a fun game, and I do think you're right. I think the Hive expansion kind of gives us exactly what we wanted, which is basically more of the balance that you need to make it so that as your stuff gets removed, it kind of gets leveled up and can do other things for you.
Yeah, every player has asymmetric powers.
Yep.
You start with a hive within the body, spread your influence across the body to unlock abilities. The Hive expansion could boost this up considerably.
Nice. And then I think the one that was a highlight for all of us was Age of Wonders Planetfall.
For sure. Yeah, this is one that I kind of had it on the lower end of my list of how it was going to work out, how I was going to like it. But it played out really well. Coming back into an area that was abandoned, and so you're trying to compete with other factions to regain influence and control over this area of space that has been omitted or forgotten. Not necessarily forgotten, but annihilated. And so you're going back to reclaim resources. You're going to go through and you're going to explore 7 systems, 7 planets. And each planet you're going to try to draft resources. So it goes in order, draft 2 cards. And I forget the exact term that is called. The higher that you are on the placement, then the sooner you're going to be able to draft on the next turn. The way it works out was really good. There was a lot of matching. There was a lot of ships to fight. There was managing your military. There was managing your influence. There was managing your credits and trying to just manage a lot of things to be productive.
Yep.
And I thought it really came together really well. And this is one that I'm really excited to play again.
Every faction in there is asymmetric.
Yes.
And not just like a little asymmetric thing, but like the kind of asymmetry you can sort of base an entire strategy around. That's what Andy did. I forget who won that game. Was it you or Andy? I think it was Andy.
I think it was Andy.
But
Only we
anyway,
had an app.
Yeah, if we only had that app, just pull it out and look. Andy really leaned into his player ability. Like his player ability allowed him to take more of the sort of trade-in action. When you're going to draft, instead of taking a card, you can go on the tiles. And depending on where you go, it allows you to do a certain number of trade-ins for points or strength or whatever it may be. His allowed him to do that extra time, so he took that action a lot. And especially as we got further in the planet deck, he could trade more and more and more of those in for points, more of those the trading resources, whatever it was. He really capitalized on making a ton of points that way.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. I tried to do the set collection thing, which is where you, every time a planet comes out, they'll have various like
locations.
Locations or whatever. And if you can collect enough locations as you go from planet to planet, then they will score. If you get certain sets of them, then each will like give you bonus scores and things like that. So, which I thought was a really fun thing to do, and it scored me a ton of points. It just wasn't quite enough. And I think that was another one of those games that was fairly tight when it ended.
Yeah, it was 4-point spread, 72, 70, 68. So Andy won with 72.
Nice.
I had 70. You had 68.
Yep, that's right.
Like I mentioned, this is a game that we're all looking forward to playing again and again. It's going to be good times.
Love it.
A plus for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. And then we've kind of talked about some of these games in the past: Aquatica, Foundations of Rome, and World Wonders. All games that we love. All games that I love. I'm not sure if they're on your love list or whatever, but they're all games that I genuinely really, really like.
Yeah.
So
Aquatica, and we talked about the Cold Waters expansion that we played, and there's a newer expansion that's coming out, the Coral Reef.
Coral Reef. Yeah.
Which is going to augment that game even more.
And I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way excited for that one. And Foundations of Rome has a new expansion that is the Roads of Fortune. And then we also did talk about in the past the Foundations of Metropolis, which is kind of a not an all-in package. I mean, it's a different style of game, but similar. And so Foundations of Metropolis, if you missed out on Foundations of Rome, Foundations of Metropolis would be a nice step in for you. And then, Doug, you and I both just got our copies of World Wonders, the Mondo expansion. Mundo expansion?
Mundo.
Mundo?
I think, Mundo. Mundo. I think Mundo.
No, on. Yeah, Mundo. Yep. Worlds of Wonders has been a great game with a nice big chunky World Wonders that are out there, and super easy quick to play.
Yeah. And this expansion in particular, the biggest thing it does a few things, but the biggest thing it does is it adds, I think it was 9 more of those, maybe it was 7, but anyway, it adds a bunch more of those chunky wooden pieces, more wonders. And the game kind of needed that. It needed just a little bit more at higher player counts. Those tend to run out from the base game. And so you're finishing the game out, those last rounds of the game, without a lot of those wonders left over. So it needed that. We've had that experience a couple of times playing the game, but this is a game I love. I think World Wonders is fantastic. So I'm excited to get that expansion out and get it played some more.
Indeed, yes.
Super cool. So those were some fantastic games that we got to play from Arcane Wonders. So we are incredibly grateful for Arcane Wonders for sending us some of those games, because we already love a lot of what they make. And then getting this little influx of games gave us a taste of a whole bunch of new stuff that we hadn't played, that I think there were some highs and lows, definitely something that we really enjoyed.
Yeah, very much excited to play some more of those.
All right, Nathan, and that is going to take us into the highlight segment of the podcast, which is basically going to be us talking about SaltCon, because this is the news episode, and we did just have SaltCon. And the memories are fresh, and we had a ton of fun.
And we did. And we're looking forward to SaltCon's end of summer coming up. So
yeah,
summer's a busy SaltCon. Actually, SaltCon's kind of all over our map.
And we do BryceCon. It's SaltCon Bryce or BryceCon, right? So there's 4 events a year. I wouldn't want to miss any one of them. They're all great.
We taught several games. Andy taught Marvel Zombies, Bardwood Grove, and The Ancient World 2nd edition. Doug, you and I both got a chance to play Bardwood Grove prior to.
Yeah.
On separate occasions, but I got to play the second round that Andy went through, and so Andy was able to thoroughly demolish me.
Yes. He does have a tendency to do that.
Yes. Marvel Zombies, which went really well because Marvel Zombies is great.
Yeah, it is.
Ancient Wonder, we both got to play that several times before SaltCon as well. And that one was really good. We talked about that a little bit in the past, but and those are the games that Andy got to teach.
Yep. And my son, Brigham, was at the con, and he got to play The Ancient World. He got to join that game because somebody had not shown up, and he won, and he was very excited about it. So that
way
was
to go him.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely his highlight.
Yeah. We also got Richie, David's brother, to come teach some games for us, and he taught Terraforming Mars, the dice game, Fleet, the dice game, and Earth.
All excellent games.
Yeah. And then we had James, who taught several of the Paco games, which, have you seen any of these, Doug?
I've seen them. I haven't played any of them, but I have seen them.
Very small packages of games that look very similar to the size of those old stick gums that had 5 sticks of gum in it. And so it's very similar to that size. He taught Sly, Far, Win, Irk, Fly, Dig, and Hue. And I got to play a couple of these. I got to play Sly and Irk and Fly.
How were they?
Fly was a little bit unusual, but it was fun. Very much a dexterity game. You're trying to drop your fly swatter and cover flies on a picnic table.
Okay. Yeah.
And the other ones, Win is kind of similar to not Ready, Set, Bet, but the other horse game. It's kind of a re-implementation of Long Shot, which we played that at BryceCon last year, not this year, but 2023. And Doug, you did not like that game.
I did not.
Nor did Andy. I enjoyed it, and I think I was probably the only one that enjoyed it, which makes me wonder why I didn't call it. But I'm going to try it again to see if I can find other people who like fun games.
Maybe I just need to try it again. I don't know. I just all I remember about that game was just how frustrating it was because I couldn't get anything going.
Because it's a luck-based game.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it involve D6s?
Yes. And
Oh,
they do hate you.
okay.
Yeah,
There it is. All right, luck and D6s. That's why.
So what games did you teach, Doug?
Yeah, so I got to teach Moon, which I was excited about because of the experiences that we had playing Moon, just the two of us, which was a really good experience and a really frustrating experience.
Yeah.
We were doing a little bit of prep for that beforehand and discovered that it is way better at a higher player count,
Yes,
like at least 3, if not 4 or 5 players, and it's excellent. The game at SaltCon was also excellent. So Dave and Tammy Brimmer were there for that one, and it went very well.
Good.
It was a good experience. Very good. We played a couple rounds of Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, and that may be one that we just run all the time. I know you guys used to do that, but as far as like big group games go and everybody around the table, anytime we're in the smaller convention room where we've got room around the entire table, I think I want to run that one.
Yeah.
In the spring SaltCon, when we're kind of up against the wall and you can't get around as well, maybe not. But as long as everyone can get around the table so everyone can kind of look at the cards and mill about just a little bit, what a fun game. I mean, it's already a great game, but at a convention with strangers or people who don't normally get to play together, it was a really, really good time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Both you and I got the chance to be the forensic investigator, and so that was kind of funny. It wasn't planned that way, but it was nice that both of us that were able to just run the game, ran it. It was a successful time. So
nice.
Yeah, that is a good game.
Yep.
That is a good game that we should look into doing again, because that is one that is fairly quick to play, fairly easy to teach, and provides big fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you're interested in that, definitely look for the signups for future conventions, because we'll definitely be running that. And then the other one I got to teach was the Reckoners. The Reckoners is such a great game. It has been made way better by the Steel Slayer expansion. And
I haven't played it with that.
Yeah, and I haven't played it with all of the stuff. So the Steel Slayer, we're both batting 100 here.
Slay.
Yeah, the Steel Slayer expansion, it basically adds a bunch of modules, most of which can just be, just mixed in with the base game. But then it also offers some new like villains to fight, like the main villains and some of that kind of stuff. And I haven't tried all of those, but we had those modules all mixed in. The ones that you can just kind of freely mix in. And we played, so the group that came to play that game, they are huge Brandon Sanderson fans.
Oh, good.
And I guess they had been to like a convention, like the Dragon Steel or whatever the Brandon Sanderson convention is or whatever like that. And so they had actually had a conversation with Brandon about the Reckoners and all that. They're just these, basically big fans. So I sat down and taught this game to them. They were just stoked from the very beginning. We had a really, really epic play where it was tight. It was back and forth. We make a ton of progress one round, and then we just get our cans kicked the next. And then finally, last round of the game, it kind of came down to like, okay, are we going to try to control the board a little bit more, or are we just going to try to nuke Steelheart? We had him all researched and everything, and everyone was like, okay, we're just going all in. And we just did it by the skin of our teeth. Got Steelheart defeated and pulled off the W. So that was a really, really fun experience. Like one of those like convention memories that will last for a long time.
Oh,
it was
great.
Really, really good.
Those are good times. So I got the chance to teach Skyrise. I love Skyrise.
Yeah, it's great.
Skyrise right on the shelf next to Foundations of Rome, where it just kind of has the table presence. And I guess I should say I'm talking about the Kickstarter version, because
Yes.
I've also seen the retail version and it is less exciting. But the Kickstarter version of Skyrise looks amazing and the game plays really well. It is a bidding game, but the way that the bidding is done out is very unique and provides some challenge and some unique opportunities on the board. Everybody loved it. And then I got to play Medici, which one of your favorite games, Doug.
Yeah,
I know.
favorite.
We got to play that at a full player count, and I really do like this game. This is a classic.
I know you do.
game.
I'm not trying to take away from it at all. How did it go at SaltCon though?
Everybody really liked it. We got to play with again. We played a ton of games with Dave and Tammy. They were able to get into a lot of our games.
Good.
This was one that just was great for them. They very much enjoyed it. Then we got the opportunity to run Werewolf, and it's a smaller convention, so it's a smaller group, which we were able to do 2 rounds of Werewolf, which was nice. People very much enjoyed it. The next day, I did some small, simple games, Lucky Numbers, Deep Dive, Applejack, all went very well. And then I got the chance to teach Let's Go to Japan, and kind of strong-armed Tammy into this. Dave was signed up. Tammy didn't want to play. So I was like, no, Tammy, we're missing a person. This isn't that bad. And it does take a little bit to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And it's always one that and I always hate to say this in a game, but it's one that the second play it's going to be like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because there's things on it that you go through the first time that you're like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. And then towards the end, it's like, okay, that I get it now, but everything I did up to this point is just out the window.
Yeah. But give it a learning play and then play it again. It's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah. And it plays well at 2 players. It plays well at the 5 players. And I haven't tried it with the expansion that comes in the Kickstarter version. Let's Go to Japan is a great game.
Yeah, it really is. I got to play this with Lydia and Dennis and Ryan. And so Dennis had gotten like a private table in one of the side rooms or whatever. And so that was one that I got to go in and play with them. I love this game. Let's Go to Japan.
Great game.
Oh, so good. Makes me want to play it right now.
I would totally be down.
Let's do it. Other games at the convention. So those are the ones we taught.
Yes.
But then we also got time to just play a ton of games.
Yes. I was super excited because my wife was there for most of it.
Yep, so was mine.
Which did mean that I was playing more games suited to her, which worked out really good. And one that was a real surprise for me that our friend Mike picked up at the Game Swap.
This is a surprise for both of us.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was going to hate it.
I totally did too. And then when I heard that Mike got it out of the Game Swap for $25, I was ticked.
Jealous.
Yeah, jealous. No, I was ticked. I was like, I want that. But yes, I guess that is jealousy. But that was MLEM, which is MLEM, the space agency, which you are cat astronauts and you are catstronauts that you are launching through space and trying to explore the regions of space. But it is very much a press your luck game.
Yep.
You're rolling dice, and your dice, if the dice are applicable at the location that you're at, then you can use those dice to advance up the track. And I think the track probably had 45 locations maybe, and you're trying to get all the way to the end, because if you can get to the end, there's some big points that can be had.
Yep.
As we were explaining it, I was like, okay, yeah, that's not going to happen very often. And that game that we played, we made it there like 3 times, which was
pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was really amazing. But this is a game that this is a game that my game really liked. This is a game that my wife really liked.
Yeah, Lydia loved it too.
One that I'm actively trying to acquire out of print, currently out of stock in a lot of places. It's one that will come back, and when it does come in back, wow.
We're leaving all of that in.
Yeah.
It's just fun. We must be tired or something.
And it's not that late.
It's not.
But yeah, it's going to be coming back in stock, and I'll pick it up when it comes in. Yeah. And it does have a great PGA implementation.
It does.
It doesn't work so well on the phone, I've discovered.
Oh, yeah.
On the desktop, where you should be playing it anyways. I mean, I guess you should be playing it on the tabletop, but
yes,
the desktop makes a great second location to visit.
Well, it's one where the BGA, if you're just doing the asynchronous play, could get a little frustrating, especially if there's more players, just because it takes so long to check to see after every roll. It needs to check every player to see if they want to stay or go.
Yeah.
But at the table, this game's awesome. 100% right. It's a press your luck game, but it's like the captain is pressing his luck and then everybody else is along for the ride. Well, do I keep going with the captain or do I bail?
Yeah.
And each one of your catstronauts has a different ability. You're kind of trying to decide what cat you want to send into space with what ability, depending on who's the captain and where they're going to go or where you think you need to go.
They're going to go, yeah.
And there's actually a lot to really enjoy about this game. I was surprised. It was a good game.
Yeah. I was very excited to play it after I played it.
Yeah.
Not so much before I played it, but afterwards, very much liked this game.
Yeah. I'll rattle off just a couple here. I've talked in the past about Treasure Hunter. This was Queen Games game from a while back, and an Andrew Garfield game that we discovered while we were playing games with some friends from high school that we met and hadn't seen for a long time. Absolutely love Treasure Hunter. It's one I had to add to my shelf. We got to play Silver and Gold, Trails of Tucana, Lucky Numbers. We already mentioned Mlem. We played Deep Dive, Sagrada. We already mentioned Let's Go to Japan. I got to play Fleet the Dice game, The Great Split, Summer Camp, NAR. So there were a bunch of those. One that I wanted to talk about just a little bit was Steam Up, A Feast of Dim Sum.
Such a good game.
Okay, so from a component standpoint, it's amazing.
Yes.
Like I really did love the little squishy dim sum pieces, the stuff moving around the table. I thought that was all pretty good. Like maybe people were a little tired from the convention or whatever. I'm not sure. I was having a hard time judging whether people were having a good time with that game or not. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it was still enjoyable. Had a great time playing it. But I was going to ask, like, was that one we were all just tired? What was happening there?
No, I think it's one that is more of a quiet game because there's a lot of thinking. I mean, there is some reaction when people keep moving the Lazy Susan around to...
There was some of that.
Because, yeah, that happened to me several times where it seemed like Sierra was always after the same thing I was after. Components. And in the base game, retail version, it has all the steamers in it. It has the Lazy Susan that you're going to spin around. The squishy dim sum, that was an upgrade. And if you can get the deluxe version of it, I strongly recommend that you get the deluxe version because it includes those squishy dim sum. A game that I've noticed every time I've played it, that it does kind of become a quiet game where people are kind of focusing on what they're planning because you have to make orders for dim sum that you want to eat. And then you have to shift Lazy Susan so that in front of you on your turn, you're going to have two choices. You're going to have one that's fully in your area and one that's halfway in your area. So you can order from either one of those steamers and add that food to your card. And each character, because each character has asymmetric powers, each character has dim sum that they crave more than others. So you want to try to consume as many of that kind of dim sum as you can. Steam Up does it very well. Not to confuse it with people not liking the game, but I think it is a game that people tend to quietly think more. Less verbal interaction, except for when you're yelling at Sierra for taking your steamer yet again.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I'm glad that we got to get that one to the table.
That was one that I really wanted my wife to play, but she had to work in the morning, so she left before we got a chance to play this. So I'm hoping we can get it to the table with her soon.
That would be awesome. One last one that I was going to bring up too, we got to play Keystone North America. So we played this one with, so it was me, my wife, Richie, and my son, Seth, who was also at the convention. We had a good time playing this. Now, Seth had a little bit of a hard time wrapping his head around it because it is a little more thinky. There's a lot of crunch to this game. But we played it at 4 players, and they are currently reprinting this game. They I think the Kickstarter, I think the campaign for it's over at this point, but they reran this game
as a 2-player game.
As a 2-player game. According to the statistic, it seemed like most people were playing it 2 players, so we just made it...
Feedback, they said.
Yeah, so we just made it a 2-player game. I don't get that. I straight up don't get that. And, okay, so it's best at 2. Great. Well, then the people who want to play it at 2 can still play it at 2. But now if you caught the reprint of it, you don't have the option of playing it at 3 or 4, and I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's one of those design decisions that I'm just like... It's just left me completely baffled and just kind of scratching my head like, I don't get that.
There's the similar, what is it, Romantic?
Yeah, the Dwarf Romantic.
Yeah, Dwarf Romantic, where there's the original version, and then there's Dwarf Romantic Duel, which is 2-player version. But you can play it 4-player if you buy 2 copies. So... Okay. Sure. Which is right along the same lines, right?
But, yeah, and it is, and I don't understand why these decisions always get made. But at least with that, there is a regular version of the game and a dual version of the game, right?
Yeah.
So with this, it's not like they just were like, well, we're just going to release, Keystone North America Dual, which they could have done.
Yeah.
But also, we've got the normal base for I don't get it. And it was kind of on my mind because they had just ran that campaign. I didn't back it or do anything because of that. I saw that and I was just like, what a weird decision. I guess I'm just going to be happy with the copy I have and not worry about more, because I have no idea if the expansion that they released for it would even be compatible with mine. I'm sure it said it somewhere in the campaign. I could have done a little research and figured it out. But when you kind of make a dumb decision like that, it's sort of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm out.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't be that way, but I just don't get it. And it was fresh on my mind. We played it there. And after playing it, I was like, no, this is totally great at 3 or 4 players. Well, what's the deal? So anyway, do not understand the design decision on that at all whatsoever, but it's a great game. I actually really like it. I like Keystone North America. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. We'll have to see if we can arrange a question and ask that to them and get some more real feedback as to why it went that way. But
yeah. Any other SaltCon games you want to talk about? I know you got to play quite a few.
I did get to play quite a few, and a lot of those we've already mentioned. We did talk about in the past Jabba's Palace.
Yes.
Which was very fun late at night when I was a little, had the bedtime crazies.
Yep. When you're a little loopy, those simple games can be kind of crazy.
But then we also got the chance to play Ginkgopolis.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right.
I'm still not sure I have a grasp on that game. It has a BGA implementation as well, and you and I are playing that, and I'm doing much better. I have a greater understanding of Ginkgopolis than I do of Arc Nova. I mean, we played Arc Nova. I played Arc Nova when it first came out a couple of times, and I thought I knew. So I started a game with you, Doug, and it's quickly evident that I have no idea what I'm doing in Arc Nova. But Ginkgopolis is it's a little bit interesting. So you have a grid that you're putting tiles out. You're expanding the size of the grid, and you're stacking up cards, and you're trying to get your influence on there to try to gain resources. And I really want to like this game, but I think I need a couple more plays at the table. And the rule book wasn't stellar. And so Mike taught it to us, and he said the greatest gift to that game was there was a how to play video. And so maybe I need to go watch that how to play video so I can...
Yeah, it took me a few minutes to kind of wrap my head around how it was being played, but then once I got it, it clicked. And it was like, and not at all because I'm an amazing Ginkgopolis player, because I'm not. But I think everybody at the table was struggling because it was sort of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It was more like, how do we generate points? It was like, okay, we understand the motions we're going through, but how do we generate points?
How do we make them work?
That game was a total blowout. Like, it was a ridiculous blowout. And I don't think the game we're playing online is going to be the same kind of blowout. I think we're both doing okay and have it down. My thing is this: at the table, I think it's too much upkeep for what you get out of the game, because there's a lot of upkeep.
I see that, yeah.
Like a ton of upkeep at the table. So I like the BGA implementation because it does all that upkeep for you, but I don't know that the game is good enough that I want to keep playing it on BGA. So I think this is one that's probably going to go away for me. But
yeah, I need to play it in person one more time
Sure.
and get a better feel of it. And I might be on that same wavelength as you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It was a good time. Truly appreciate Mike taking the time to learn that and teach that for us. But yeah, no, it was SaltCon was a good time, and trying to complete our plans for what we're going to host in end of summer, which is over Memorial Day weekends, end of August, first weekend in September. So
it's going to be good times.
It is going to be good times. Always excited about that.
Excellent.
So that's a lot of news that's not new news.
That's a lot of us just talking about fun stuff.
Yes, that's a lot of highlight section.
Highlights.
So, do we want to talk about some new games that are out there?
Yeah, for sure. I've deliberately kept my notes fairly short because I knew we were going to be talking about SaltCon. So I just am sticking to the big stuff that really caught my eye, that I'm pretty excited about, that I think just bears a quick mention. So if we dive right into new game releases, the first one, Unfathomable, The Abyss. So this is the expansion to Unfathomable. We've talked about this in the past. I think most people know this is the re-implementation of Battlestar Galactica, one of your favorite games.
Yes.
But this has the Cthulhu mythos, the Elder Ones mythos, the Lovecraftian horror mythos, sort of draped over the top of it. So it is a different theme altogether, but it is an excellent re-implementation of that game, streamlined and simplified, and I think broken down into its best core elements. So I am curious to see what this expansion is going to bring, and it is now out in the wild. You can go get your hands on it, and it looks good.
Only played the base game the one time. It is something that I would very much like to get back to the table again to get a greater feel for that. And then, yes, I mean, I think buying this expansion is a no-brainer for me. It's something that is in my cart, ready to go. If I can get it, I'm very much looking forward to it. And I like when an expansion comes out for a game that I'm excited about, because that increases the likelihood of us getting that game back to the table. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. So there's, how do you feel about print and play games, Doug?
I mean, I don't play any. I don't have any. I don't have any that are sitting on the shelf. I don't do print and plays. I'm not opposed to them in theory. I just, we've had this conversation. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. The short version, the too long didn't read version, is that components and the quality of what I'm playing with matter a lot to me. They're not a deal breaker, but they matter a lot. I don't really know how to print in such a way that I would get an experience with those components that I would be really happy with.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's something I need to figure out, because I love 3D printing. I mean, I'm not averse to learning some technical skill. I have a decent printer at home. Maybe I just need to sit down in an afternoon and figure out how to make some decent cards and sleeve them and to make them nice and playable. But maybe that's more than you wanted me. I mean, more of an answer than you wanted. But I struggle with print and plays just because of that, but not on principle, right?
I echo your thoughts almost verbatim. I like the idea of it. You know, you want to print out something that's quality, and my personal home printer isn't up to snuff for this. And then I think you just miss some of the nuance with using your own components as opposed to what is the designer's intention. There is a cool game. It's called Beyond the Horizon. It looks really cool. The board looks really nice. It's a roll and write, but it's also a print and play. You're on a space mission. You're trying to explore and send your science crew out, explore the surface of planets, get resources, and it's just, I like the idea. I like the concept of this game. It looks, the printouts that are here look really good, but I think that just won't transition from what it looks like when I print it.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
I don't know if it's a lazy factor on me, and it totally could be, because we live in a very give me kind of world.
Sure. Yeah.
And if it's accessible, we're lazy and we want to buy it, where there's something that if you want to DIY it,
DIY?
Thank you. If you want to DIY it.
Yes. One more time. Once more unto the breach.
DIY.
Nope.
No, DIY. There we go. Yes. First try. If you want to DIY it. And there is stuff that I do that for, but for some reason I don't know. I guess it is a lazy factor. I don't guess. It is a lazy factor.
And I would say for me, it's more of a time factor, because I would want to take the time to make that a good quality copy.
Yeah.
And I've got 1,000 things that are all vying for my time, and I just don't have time to worry about this type of thing.
Yeah.
So
This is something we need to tell Richie about, because Richie's, he had another roll and write that was a print and play that he printed out and he laminated.
Yeah, it looked really good.
So somebody needs to whisper this to Richie.
Okay, let's do it.
Beyond the Horizon. Anyways, it does look pretty cool. Plays in 30 to 60 minutes.
Sometimes the longer roll and writes are really good.
Yeah.
We love Twilight Inscription.
Yes.
And Fleet the Dice Game takes a little bit longer. I don't know if it's quite an hour, but it takes a little bit longer, and I love Fleet the Dice Game.
Yeah. And Three Sisters, which is very similar to
yeah,
it.
same company. Yep.
Cheryl really likes Three Sisters. So.
Yep, that's awesome. So another one that I wanted to mention that's out in the wild now that you can get if you're into the Unmatched system, which I am, and I find those games incredibly fun. I just wish I had, going back to time, I wish I had more time to play them. There's a new set coming out called Slings and Arrows, and this is all themed around Shakespeare and some of his writings. So this is a box where you get 4 heroes. Shakespeare, you get the Wayward Sisters, you get Hamlet, and you get Titania. And they all look pretty great. In fact, these were, if I'm not mistaken, I'm reading this here, Shakespeare's deck was designed by Jonathan Guberman, was one of the winning decks in a 2020 design competition. So a while back, they held like a design competition for some of these heroes and stuff. Anyway, this one features some of the winners from that, or at least a winner from that. So I'm excited to get this to the table and see how these characters play.
So something new, actually even a new idea from the great Rainier Knizia is these Pack-a-Pen games. And it's the set of 3 that are currently out. It comes with 5 colored pencils, and the pencils on the end of the pencils have symbols. The pencil has 6 edges. You're going to play the game. You're going to drop these pencils out, and whoever the first player is they're going to pick one of those pencils. And so these are all roll and write games. So you're going to pick that pencil up, and whatever the shape is, you're going to use that shape and that color on your board. And then you're going to go around. The next person's going to pick up one until you run out of pencils. The person who should have gone next will gather up all the pencils, roll them, and go again. 3 different versions. There's reefs, crypts, and gardens. And coming out is Hackers, which is out this year, 2024. I think these are going to be really pretty clever.
Visually, they look a lot like Lost City Roll and Write.
Lost City Roll and Write.
Yeah.
Similar there for sure. Just crypts anyways. You're filling in circles, triangles, squares, crosses, hexagons, and trying to make the pattern and fill up similar colors side by side in the rows and the columns to get bonus points. They look pretty simple and pretty fun, and I always like a clever mechanic. The only thing that has me hesitant is, one, when you're playing with colored pencils, the colored pencils sometimes stink, right? I mean, we look at...
Okay. I thought you were going to go into like a colorblind thing or something like that.
No.
I didn't.
It does have some situational colorblind issues that are there, and they are aware of that, and they try to make a solution or a tool.
There's little
to manage
symbols.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in our group, on a regular group, we have 2 people who have colorblind issues. Ironically, I mean, we tend to play more games that are color centered when these guys are here for some reason.
Yeah, for whatever
it's not
reason.
planned, but it makes them kind of feel like it may be that you don't want us here. But I think these are going to be a fun series of games. But the pencils, when you're trying to color on them, they don't color in very well. And the colors are very similar, the orange and the red. And especially when you're trying to color them in and you can't color it in really hard, ripping through the table, or ripping through the piece of paper. I guess my pet peeve is it's something that I cannot use markers with after the fact. I guess I still can. I can just use the pencils and...
I mean, you can do whatever you want, Nathan.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm worried about...
No one's holding you back.
I'm worried about replayability, but I really like the cleverness of these, and I am looking forward to playing all 4 of these versions. We have 3 versions here.
You already have them here?
I have 3 of them here, yeah.
Oh, okay. We might have to pull one of those out and just try it. They definitely look like the kind of thing I want to try.
Yes.
But they're not super exciting visually. I'm glad you're excited about them because it means I get to play them without having to, fork over any cash.
Price point on them is doable, so...
Yeah, it's not an expensive product. Another one that is out on the shelf currently that I'm excited about is DC Comics deck building game Justice League Dark. That's quite a mouthful to say. The DC deck building game, I think is super good. I really like it. There's a lot of different variations and packs that you can mix and match at this point. It's grown into a huge, fairly robust game. I am very excited about this Justice League Dark. I really enjoy the Justice League Dark. That was a comic that I read for many years. And so this is one that I am very excited to get to the table. So I've got this one on order and can't wait to play it when it comes.
DC Deck Builder is one that I not necessarily avoided, but just didn't get the chance to play. It was very similar to the Marvel deck building game. After having the opportunity to play it, I think there's definitely a difference in the two. And the uniqueness, I mean, it's not like you're building a Batman deck, right? And the same thing with the Marvel one. It's not like you're building a Wolverine or a Spider-Man deck. You're trying to just incorporate heroes. But the interesting thing with the DC deck builder is that sometimes you're going to incorporate villains into your deck. And that is not sometimes. I mean, there's a great possibility that you're going to be having villains in your deck. I find that very thematic because in the cartoons, in the comics, you often have those opportunities where something aligns that all of a sudden your villains are playing with you. You're side by side. Heroes are fighting side by side with villains for some more common, larger enemy. And I think the DC deck builder, I think actually both of them I like both of them very well. Although I know for you, Doug, the semi-cooperative or the we have to work together a little bit, but I have the opportunity to either king make or tank the game that you run into with the Marvel deck builder. And I get that. I see a space on the shelf for both games.
This is one that I'm heavily invested in. You've got lots of the other ones, so we have plenty of options to play either whenever we want. So that's really good. But I'm excited for more content for the DC Deck Builder game. It's always good to get it out and have a reason to play it some more. I'll tell you the one that I wish was DC themed. This is totally side tangent here for just a second, but I love Marvel Champions that Fantasy Flight is currently in the middle of cranking out. My fingers are crossed. I'm just above all hope that they will do the same thing with DC, because a DC Champions LCG would be my particular jam, and I think it would be absolutely amazing. You talk about building a Batman deck or the Flash deck or a Wonder Woman deck. That's where it would be for me. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, and I've been watching a ton of the Arrowverse. I'm a lot more invested in DC lately than I had been in the past. DC has always done really good with their TV stuff. I think some of their movies kind of waffle.
For sure.
I mean, you have some DC movies, and Marvel's been the exact same way, and we've talked about that recently too. So like with the lackluster of the excitement for the new Marvel movies, where up before Endgame, you were super excited about what came out next, and now
I think I've only seen like one of them since Endgame.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you haven't missed too much.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
But anyways, I digress. There's space on the shelf for both of these games.
Very awesome.
Well, we have been very long-winded. Let's get to a couple of Kickstarters, because there is one in particular that I want to mention.
Okay, awesome. Really quick before we do Kickstarters, I want to throw out new game announcements. Just really quick, and I'm just going to rapid fire these out there. Artifacts, an expansion for Veil of Eternity. A little while back, you and I were talking about how this game needs an expansion, and lo and behold, Artifacts. So maybe this will breathe a little bit more life into Veil of Eternity. I'm excited about that. There is a new as of yet unnamed, third expansion for Res Arcana coming out, which is another thing that I'm very excited about. And then, of course, Horrified, World of Monsters. So this is going to be the Sphinx, the Yeti, the Yignashi. I don't know how you pronounce that. Jiangshi, I don't know what that is. And then, of course, the great one himself, Cthulhu.
Nice.
And there will be two others, but I don't think they've announced those yet. Anyway, so more Horrified, and this is one that you can combine with Greek monsters, so I'm excited about that. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to throw a few of those out there. Crowdfunding, which one are you eager to talk about?
Well, we can't have a sponsor and not talk about their crowdfunding.
Oh, yes, of course.
So Berkey has his Kickstarter, his Game Toppers 4.5 that is starting on January 23rd. He's got some cool stuff in this that is for those who are looking at the tables that have the inlays. Last Kickstarter, he had one that had a nice inlay that they had the nice D&D theme that would go in those inlays. And now he's come out with a new design that will allow you to swap out those inlays And so there's a nice new galaxy theme. So it's Star Trek, Star Wars, space, whatever, any of those themes that'll fit in there. Some new mats in there that are going to be more thematic for gameplay. And then there is also terrain tiles that you can use to add with your 3D stuff. So you can use your thematic, the winter board, the desert board, the forest, and by board, I mean the mats that are already there. And then you can use these inlays. So there's like a river, there's streets, anything like that you can put in there that will help your role-playing games become and feel more alive, and even some of your tabletop war games to make them feel a little bit more alive, be able to work well with the theme on the mat itself. And so I think these look really cool for me in particular. Games like Star Wars Legion. We have Heroescape that's coming out that this will go, you could use that with this. Although you're going to be using a lot of your Heroescape tiles in that, which are amazing unto themselves. I mean, there's a lot of demand and a lot of opportunities for theme-styled mats for war games that are on your tabletop. I think this is going to meet a lot of those needs.
Awesome. I'm actually looking at pictures of that as you're talking about it, and it looks so good.
As always, all of his stuff is super high quality.
Very high quality. Yep.
Yeah. And so if you're looking for a tabletop solution, check out Game Toppers, this new Kickstarter that starts July 23rd.
Fantastic. Over on Kickstarter, I wanted to mention just a couple. First of all, we've got Unstoppable, a card crafting game by John DeClaire.
A two-player card crafting game.
Two-player card crafting game. If you do play it 2 players, my understanding is this is cooperative. So it's, if you're playing it solo, you're playing against the AI, against the game. If you're playing it 2 players, you are teamed up against the game, right? You're teamed up against the AI. But this uses John DeClaire's card crafting system.
His amazing card crafting
system. I watched some videos and was looking into this one a little bit, and this looks like a lot of fun. This looks like an amazing deck building game that is going to be just riotous fun. So I'm very, very much looking forward to this one. And I'm also very much looking forward to Sovereign, Fall of Wormwood. So we talked about this one a while back, and we were gushing about all the artwork on it.
Yeah.
Originally just Wormwood, but when they launched, and I don't know if it was legal reasons or marketing or whatever, but now it is Sovereign, Fall of Wormwood. So if you're looking for that one, go check it out. That one will be running for, I think, a little bit longer, but it's going to be closing really soon when this episode drops. But definitely go and take a look at that one. I still think that the art is the real highlight of this game.
Oh, it is, for sure.
But also, as I was watching some of the videos and stuff, the gameplay looks incredibly solid. I think that this is going to be a good one.
This is a card game, but the art on the cards is phenomenal. Just looking at this Falk card for the character, the amount of detail that's in it is just superb. It looks really good.
So those were a couple over on Kickstarter. And then if we jump on over to GameFound, one that really caught my eye that I think I'm going to have to back. This is Odalin, or Odalin? Yeah, Odalin. I'm pretty sure that's Odalin. Yeah. Odalin, Dungeons of Doom. Looks like just a really, really great, solid dungeon crawl. They pulled a trick from the old Diablo playbook. They put all the classes around a campfire for like character selection. When you're choosing your character, you kind of have this little setup here. Classes and races look really cool. In fact, the big tanky barbarian looking class is a war elephant.
Oh, nice.
One of the classes is or at least the races. I'm not sure how they're divided into class and race, but one of them's like a tiger, like almost like the Khajiit from the Elder Scrolls, only a little more buff and robust. They look like more tanky and mean. So absolutely fantastic sculpts on the minis. Gameplay is fairly streamlined. A lot of these dungeon crawlers, they kind of lose me because they're a little too grand in scale, which means they come with a lot of components and rules. And I'm finding those types of games to be less and less interesting. And
I feel you.
This one seems like it's a lot more streamlined. So I am looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, this Sovereign looks pretty good. I
haven't pulled Nathan away from the Sovereign page.
Yeah, no, you haven't. I find it interesting that it's levels though. It goes from, you go from your 55 core box, then 75 for your includes Exiles of Eden expansion, and then the next level jumps all the way up to $230. Everything you could ever need to play Sovereign with 4 friends or enemies. That's just such a huge jump, but it does look pretty cool. Or you could go all Sovereign personalized deck, which is 2,000.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
One pledge left for that. Maybe we should get Andy to back that one.
Greg, you mean?
Yes, Greg.
Yeah, Andy spent all of his fun money on Tenarius Adventures.
That's right, yeah. Although he didn't get this ultra cool
No,
one.
he didn't, but still, that was not cheap. So we just need to talk to Greg. We need to get him on it.
Yep, indeed.
You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that is the bulk of what I wanted to hit.
Awesome. Well, we've been playing some great games. We've been having some fun conventions, making a lot of great memories, getting some new stuff to the table, and looking forward to a lot more. So until next time,
We'll see you standing in line at the game store looking for something new and amazing to put on your game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation, or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.